So some things about Napa Valley Window Cleaners. I'm Solomon, I'm the owner. We clean windows, we obviously clean gutters using the Skyvac machine. We rescreen, we clean blinds, power washing, soft washing, you name it, we do it. But some things that I wanted to kind of tell you about the Skyvac that I really liked about the Skyvac in comparison to what we have with the Gutter Pro Vac. And one of the things that stood out for me was the chassis. The chassis I just loved. We got air-filled tires, it's thick, it's heavy, it's durable. We've run it through some dirt areas and whatnot, and grassy fields, and didn't have much of a problem maneuvering it around. Now I haven't done that with the Gutter Pro Vac. It might maneuver just as well. Don't know. Some other things that I liked about the Skyvac is you do have 3 motors. You have a nice aluminum piece here that you can put your hose in. That's a pretty high canister. But some of the things that I didn't like about the Skyvac is obviously the price. The whole kit and caboodle with the camera, the pole, you name it, I believe I paid about $6,000 for it. Some of the things I didn't like about it is on the inside of it. They give you a really small filter. They give you a really small filter that goes right here. And then you have just a little bit of metal that protects it from the water hitting or even the dirt and debris getting into the filter. One thing that I found is soon as that paper filter gets wet, it's over. You just can't run the machine, because then what happens is the filter, while it's wet, sucks onto all of this here and just completely stops the vacuuming. So you have to basically either go get another $80 filter or try to run it without a filter, and then you might have internal problems. I did like the height of it. I wish it was a little bit wider. Let's see. That's all I could think about for right now. If you want to cut and paste that, and I can put the same corner. How about you, David?
So, in my company, we clean windows, clean gutters, solar panels, pressure washing, that kind of stuff. I've had this machine for 3 years now. I bought it because of the price. The return on investment was incredibly important to me. The machine that I bought originally was not the machine that's sitting here now. It's had tons of upgrades. It's had a cyclone inlet put on, an upgraded hose. Those are all things that the company Gutter Pro Vac has done to improve the performance of the vacuum. I had a chance a few weeks ago to run a Skyvac for the first time. The cart is far more impressive than the cart on the Gutter Pro Vac. I didn't feel that it had any more power to the vacuum than this one does. The filter, like Solomon said, leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
The filter that's in here is a large cloth filter. So this thing can get wet, it can obviously be dirty, and it still works. It doesn't bog down when it's wet, it just keeps right on going. Plus, the Gutter Pro Vac has a water drain hose that you can drain all the water out without having to tip the machine full of water if you run into a clogged gutter that is full of water.
And that's one thing I actually wish the Skyvac had, because we run into it all the time where you have a completely filled gutter full of water, you suck it out, and then of course this, like I was saying, you got to be careful, this gets wet, so you got to dump it. And the only thing we can do is we have to then take the head off, walk somewhere to where we can dump it, pick it up, dump the water out, go back to the job, and it just takes much longer to keep the job going. And then, like I said, if that filter gets wet, you're done. You're done for the day. And we do a lot of large apartment complexes, homeowners associations, companies that have rentals. So we might do, like on a house, like we're in my backyard right now, so I have a little single-story home. We might do 8 of these homes in a day. And if that filter is gone, we're out. And now we're backlogged. And then we just got to do everything we can to catch up. And we try to do everything we can not to get on the roof. That's why we use this, is because we are family owned and operated. So in my business, I'm the owner, but my eldest son works for me, my nephew works for me, and my cousin works for me. And the last thing I want is versus anyone in my family getting hurt. You know, it might be one thing if it was some guy I really didn't know and I paid $15 an hour and he got hurt, oh well. But this is really my family that we're talking about, and I don't want anyone getting hurt. And that's why we go this route. If you're still doing it conventional way, good for you. I just wouldn't. I would definitely go this way. We do everything we can not to get on the roof, but if we have to, we will. And that's very rare. I've noticed with my machine, and I got to use his machine as well. And what I noticed was right off the bat is I did feel the Skyvac has more torque when it's clogged, but I felt the Gutter Pro Vac was 100% torque all the time. Like I got into situations where we're trying to get the debris out of the gutter, and it's going, but until it gets completely clogged, it's not sucking it through the filter or through the pole as well. And I think we were doing a 2-story building. We each had 40 feet. How much of the hose?
50 feet.
50 feet of hose, plus 2.5 stories with the pole. And he was going at it like no problem. He was just sucking, and this was literally sawed in someone's gutter, and he was just sucking it out like it was no problem. He was chunking it out piece by piece, where we were kind of struggling to get it out and actually get a good suction on it. Some of that could have been technique, but I honestly felt that his just had the torque right when needed, where mine needed to be clogged to get that torque. So what I did do is I did do some notes. I did some comparisons between the two, and for me, right off the bat, and I think also for David you'd agree, the chassis is just superior. It's just heavier duty. Some other things that we noticed was the cleaning of the water with the filters. His will run no problem all day, soaking wet. Mine won't. And then the filters in the canister, what was really neat was his filter is not connected to the head, where mine is you have to pull the head off, unscrew it, pop the filter off, put the new filter on, screw it back in, put the head. His is just a totally separate piece. And what you're looking at with the Skyvac filter, I believe it was about $45, but with the Gutter Pro, you're looking at $49, but you got a heck of a lot more filter there. It's a huge, massive piece versus a little tiny K&N motor air filter that I think they use. Some other things that I did notice is, I'm just going to go into accessories. The price of the Skyvac. The price of the Skyvac that I have is, if you were to buy the machine like I did, you buy the Skyvac, you buy their hose, you get their poles. They do have a carbon fiber pole. I would almost probably rather go aluminum, because I had their poles a couple months when they were broken, they were twisted, they were stuck. So maybe go aluminum, or maybe if you're going with the Gutter Pro Vac, definitely probably go with one of their poles. I found them to be superior. But the Skyvac, you're looking at about $3,399 just for the machine, what you see right here, and I believe you do get the poles. What you don't get is you don't get the camera with that. So if you do get the camera to go with that, now you're looking at about $4,048. And don't forget, you're probably going to need a pole if you don't have one, if you're just getting into the business, for their camera to go up in the air, look down. The thing with their camera too is it's not like a GoPro. It's this weird rectangular shaped camera that goes off radio waves versus Bluetooth. The one I first got, you actually had channels. You'd go to channel 1, 2, or 3 on the camera, and then you'd have to choose the channel you were on with your little monitor. I think they changed that now. I don't know if it's Bluetooth, but it goes by radio waves. And you never got a good picture. It was never a good, solid picture. And I believe with the Gutter Pack, though, they use something like the GoPro. It's a very similar camera. It comes in a plastic case. I just loved it. And that's what I use now. So some things that you might know with my current Skyvac. My hose is damaged. It's with the Skyvac. It's gone. It's no good. I actually now use the Gutter Pro Vac hose. It's longer. It's 50 feet. I really like it. Like I said, my poles are no longer they didn't last long at all. I think within the first 6 months, I had to almost buy a whole new set of their poles through Skyvac. But now I'm actually using aluminum poles through Gutter Vac. Really like those. The guys are happy with them. They're light-ish. They're not as light as you would with carbon fiber. Some other things that we noticed. I mean, what is this was running about $1,700-$1,700 in comparison to where I think I'm at $4,000, $5,000.
When I bought the machine 3 years ago,
Yeah, I bought this about 5 years ago.
This 40 feet of aluminum poles, the old 25-foot hose, and I was about $1,400–$1,500. Right now, this machine with all the upgrades, the carbon fiber poles, the 50-foot hose, I think it's in the ballpark of $3,000.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat that. I mean, if you're looking at, let's say, even if the Skyvacs say 4,500, let's just say. I mean, but yours comes with the camera. Ours, the Skyvac doesn't come with the camera.
There's an option in there for the camera to be included in the package.
So now you're back up to about $4,000 or $5,000 roughly, and then of course shipping but me overall, looking at all the differences, and we're going to do some tests for you guys that we haven't seen yet. I'm kind of curious how this test is going to be.
I'm excited.
Yeah, we're going to do an air test.
Yeah, a CFM test.
And a water test. So that's going to be exciting to see how this all works out. But thus far, the way it sits, before we even do these tests, and other than me using your machine, you using mine, and vice versa, everything that I know up to now, before the tests, I don't think I would buy this machine again. I would go that route. I would save myself some money, and I didn't feel like the Skyvac was just more superior. To be honest with you, you know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of reminds me, a Lexus or the Toyota Limited.
Yeah.
What's the difference? The L, right? I mean, it's the same manufacturers. Well, maybe not here, but it's the same car, same everything, and the only thing you can do is say, well, look, I bought the Lexus.
Because it's really not about the money, it's about the return on investment.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
The faster you can get that paid off, the more beneficial it is for your company.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and use this water lift gauge on the Skyvac, and this is an industry meter that everyone in the industry knows what this is used. We're going to first use it on the Skyvac, then we're going to use it on the Gutter Pro Vac. Just give us about a minute to go ahead and get set up, because we're going to use the generator, which is really loud, so you might not be able to hear us. What we're going to do is initially start with the first motor, check the gauge. Second motor, check the gauge. Third motor, check the gauge. Same thing with the Gutter Pro Vac, because it also has 3 motors.
That's open. So we just got done with our backyard test of the water lift vacuum pressure on both machines and the CFM, the volume, the air volume flow. And for what I found on this, it's about 100 pounds of water lift vacuum and about 11 to 12,000 CFM on our gauge of volume of flow. And then on his, it has a light debris switch and a heavy debris switch. And on the light debris switch, it has less vacuum pull, vacuum pressure water lift than the Gutter Pro Vac does, but it has equal CFM to it. And then if you turn it to the heavy debris switch, it has more vacuum pressure, vacuum water lift pressure, but it has far less CFM flow to it.
And basically, what does that mean? I mean, it's just all words, right? But what does that mean to the guy who's out there in the field working? And this is one reason why, yes, that's great. Yes, it has a little bit more lift on the water if you put it on heavy debris, and it's equal to, if not maybe a little bit less on the airflow. But this is why I think that's all nonsense, and why what it means to you out in the field. So when you're doing gutters, and we all know when we do gutters, it's never beautiful, perfect amount of leaves, exactly in the same spot. You're going to run into heavy patches, light patches, and that's where I don't like that about this. And I'm kind of learning that now by doing these tests, is because there's been times where we're up in the gutter and we're cleaning, and then for some reason it doesn't want to suck that thing, and we go, oh, it's heavy debris. So I have to put my pole down, walk back to the machine, put it on put it on heavy debris, walk back to the pole, get back to work and start working, and now it's not sucking the light stuff again. So what do I have to do? Put the pole back down, walk back to the machine, put it on light, and they get going. And where I feel like that's just your workhorse, it's ready to go. Whether you're sucking up water at one point and then dry debris, it's there, it's got it constantly. This isn't. This is only good if you have it on this side or have it on that side. It's not 100% of the time. So I back to, I think we mentioned when we did our first test of trying to get working together on one gutter, is that this just had the power right then, right now. Here it is. Let's go. Where this does have a little bit more power on the water, but that's only if you turn it on to this, and that's if you know you're in the heavy debris and not the light debris. So I mean, that just doesn't work really for me. And if I had to do this all over again, after knowing what I know now and doing the little tests that we have done, I would have saved myself a ton of money and probably even time, now that I think about it, using that machine versus using this machine. And I also have to operate 2 guys at one time to use this machine. I'm paying one guy $19 an hour and the other guy's getting $20 an hour, because we pay a good amount, to clean gutters, when with this machine I could pay one guy $19 an hour to clean gutters, and there's no going back and forth, switching this, switching that. Oh, hey, you're in the light debris. Oh, you're in the dark heavy debris. Where I think that's just, if you're an owner operator and you're just one guy doing it, that's the machine. If you like throwing money away, and like I've been doing it, paying 2 guys to run one machine, this is the machine for you.
Now, I'm an owner operator. I do this all by myself. I don't even have a helper yet. I fully agree. I think the vacuuming is a 2-person job, because with the 50-foot hose, you have one person on the nozzle running, and then that second person is moving the machine. Hose management, extension cord management. I run 200 feet of extension cord on this machine with 50 feet of hose, and then the power cord, I could be 285 feet out from my permanently mounted generator in my van. So I have a lot more flexibility, where he drags the generator out with him and the machine. So it's, you know, a lot of work, a lot of moving pieces. I fully believe that this is a 2-person job. You know, like I said, one person moving the machine, one person bringing the hose back away from the operator, and one person operating. One person in the gutter running the tip, because the faster you can get through it, the more money you make, the better it is.
Yep.
Messing around with a switch or anything like that, I mean, that's just more time, less money.
And one other thing with it too is just that with this, like, you're running how many feet of extension cord?
I run 200 feet of extension cord.
See, with the Skyvac, it says you shouldn't run more than 70. I'm actually running 100 two 50s together, and then you only get what I think a 15 or 20 foot hose. I'm using the Gutter Vac Pro hose, which is 50 feet. So I mean, it's so funny. I'm using the Skyvac, but everything else is Gutter Pro Vac. Yeah, I'm just thinking if you're looking and you're comparing and you're looking at these two, it's really up to you and what you want to do. But like I said earlier, if it was me and I know what I know now, I would start all over and I would buy that.
Okay, so here you have the aluminum poles and the carbon fiber poles from Gutter Pro Vac. I've had my machine for about 3 years now. I started with the aluminum poles because it was all that was available at the time. I have since upgraded to the carbon fiber poles. The aluminum poles are a little bit more, weigh a little more, but they are extremely durable, far more durable than the carbon fiber would be. If I ran a crew, I wouldn't run carbon fiber poles, but since I'm an owner-operator, I like the reduced weight, the reduced fatigue. I had shoulder surgery. I almost tore a complete shoulder apart in 2017, so the lighter weight really helps me out a lot. Yeah, I really like these a lot. I'm happy they came out with them, and they're good poles.
And I had the carbon fiber as well. Mine actually was through Skyvac. At the time, I was an owner-operator, and like I said in one video, they broke right away. So now I'm actually using the aluminum, and I'm using the aluminum through Gutter Pro Vac. And because I do run a crew, I don't know if I want to pay the added expense for a carbon fiber for them. So I actually have them use the aluminum. It's actually pretty lightweight, I find. I mean, it's not as light as the carbon fiber, but I feel it's pretty lightweight. But of course, as you